Hi and welcome to another game commentary here from dailychess.org. This time I'm annotating one of my own games, which I played in a team match here on chess.com. It's in a team match Fast Thinkers group against 5 for Fighting on board 1. I play for 5 for Fighting since for 2 days, I think now, and I managed to score 1.5 points. My lecture for this time will be how to punish dubious opening play, especially in the open games, in the open structure, where development is of high priority and you should not waste time as it can easily repel. So let's see how the game went. Okay, my opponent is rated about 2000, and he's kind of a decent player, I would say, but in this case he definitely went wrong. Okay, e4, e5. I thought, okay, let's play a bit more solid. Knight f3, knight c6, d4, e takes t, knight takes d. It's not the only move which leads to the Scotch opening or Scottish opening. There are some other lines, for instance c3, which is I think it's called Danish Gambit. I'm not quite sure, but it's not one of the critical lines. I can show you, for instance, what I like to play against this. Let's go for d5, which I consider strongest. I think it's called the Capablanca defense. Okay, he probably has to take, because if he moves forward, we can simply take, and white does not have any compensation for the sacrificed pawn, because usually he tries to get control over this diagonal here to block my development a bit, and it's not easy now with the pawn on d5 already. I have enough central control, and compensation is simply not existing. So queen takes d5, and okay, c takes d. Bishop b4 check, developing with tempo. Okay, bishop takes bishop d2 is let's say dubious. It's a dubious move because it's not at all challenging. I mean, I can simply play, for example, knight takes b, bishop g4, followed by long castle, and I get some pressure against his pawn, and after knight f6 on this open file here. So black would be better. After queen takes d, bishop b4, the main move here is knight c3 and bishop g4, creating the threat of taking, removing the defender, and then collecting the pawn here. So he has to protect it. And now the important technical point is that I cannot take here. Okay, I can take here, which I would even recommend, but I cannot take here on d4 because there's an intermediate move. Bishop takes c6 check. So check has not priority. You have to react on it. And with bishop takes c6, we remove the defender of my queen. And after b takes c, the queen would hang, and white would win the game. Therefore, we have to go for c4. And now the theory recommends for black, okay, takes, and to go for this endgame line. After takes, knight g7, for instance. Bishop e3. We have a structure. No, white has our weakness here, and I also have some weaknesses. But as theory states, it's easier for black to get pressure against this pawn than for white to pressure along the open c file. So position should be about balanced. I mean, no set can really make use of the opponent's weaknesses. Here, for instance, let's say after long castle, rook f, h to d1, rook h to e8, creating a certain threat of knight f5, getting a slightly better endgame probably. We can always play c5, king f3, bishop a5, rook a to c1, for instance, and bishop b6, which is considered quite decent for black. Yeah, that's the theory of the Danish gambit, I think. Okay, but let's move to a more testing move, which is bishop c4. Here my recommendation goes with bishop c5, and after c3 we just transpose to the Italian game, for instance here, and then play d5. Let's skip just the theory briefly. Let's play castle d6 to remove some ideas of bishop takes, king takes, queen, then queen check, and picking up the bishop here. It's a nasty tactic. Therefore d6. Well, and now let's say probably has to go for c3 in order to get some development. And here I think it's not. I think it's better to just keep developing critical lines. Probably this, but we can take, because if it takes, we go to f8, and yeah, it's not that easy now. I mean, if it goes further, we just take, and play g5, and the queen goes there, and the attack is probably decisive. Therefore, he has to take here. We take the pawn, and okay, my analysis goes with this, and if it goes there, I go queen f6, hitting the pawn. Well, let's say first knight d4 goes back, queen f6, f4, the pawn is covered. Now g5, and after this, very strong, queen f3. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. He has to react somehow, and let's see after this, important to get out of this file. Knight takes g5, and positions about equal. Yeah, that's the line of my analysis at home. But okay, I just wanted to show you some theory. Okay, against Scotch, black has some interesting ideas. I mean, he can either play this knight f6 system, he can go for this bishop c5, which has become quite popular recently, or to go for even some dubious decisions. You know, with queen h4 you win a pawn by force, but most of the time you lag behind in development, and your king will have to cover c7 most of the time, which is not quite easy. Here, for instance, I don't know the theory quite well here, but because I don't play it, but yeah, you have to know your stuff before applying this line. And here the main line goes with either knight c3, which is the Scottish 4 knight, or no, not this, or first to take in order to reduce black's control over the e5 square, and after this to go e5, which is the so-called Mises variation. But f3 violates one of the main principles, or the most important rule in the open games, which is to develop your pieces, or to disturb, to fight for the initiative. This move doesn't do it actually, and especially this pawn chain here, or pawn setup, is quite vulnerable now against d5 setups, or d5 pushes, because the threat is always to take, and then to weaken this this file, as well as these two diagonals. And as you can see, I will even exploit it in this game. So let's continue. Bishop c5. Okay, first of all, hitting the knight, goes back. If he takes, I don't know, I don't think it's playable. I mean, d5 comes even I can castle, play rook e8, there's a pin and so on. No, he has always the problem that he cannot castle anymore, and especially this bishop here is a powerhouse. He controls two important squares, which is e3 for the bishop here, and g1, which prevents castling, which means the king is stuck in the center. Okay, bishop g5, trying being active, but h6. No, it's always useful to have this bishop kicked back. I mean, if necessary, I can go g5 and kick it further. And there's one game which reached this position, and black went immediately for g5. And yeah, there was a position which was quite messy, in my opinion. I mean, after bishop g3, d5, e5, knight h5, and bishop b5. In my opinion, it was a bit messy, and knight f4. I wouldn't like to play this position that way. Maybe it's okay, but I wouldn't like it. I decided to go for the initiative, a5, trying to hit this knight there, and yeah, to trouble his development. I mean, you cannot allow a4, so he has to play it himself. But now the square b4 has been weakened, and it's usually one of the ideas of black now to hop in there and control some squares, especially d5, which I will later on use for my own counter attack against the opponent's king to break up this pawn chain here. And yeah, especially this knight there on b3 after, let's say, d6, bishop e6, for instance. It's always annoying if I take it. He has to take with the c pawn, and yeah, this b4 square is a chronicle weakness. It will always be difficult for white to get into play. And okay, after castle, knight c3. Otherwise, yeah, there might even be some sacrifices against e4. Knight b4 comes, d5 is no way threatening. Knight b5, okay, it's also possible. Here g5 and d5 was maybe an option, but okay, I went for the queen e7 line, and now creating a pin, but planning to play d5, even with a sacrifice, because the king is in the center. White does not need many moves to complete his development. Queen d2 and long castle, for instance. The king would be at least safe temporarily. But okay, I expected c3 to come, and now the game deviates a bit. I mean, c3, okay. There's a nice tactical point in sacrificing the knight. Let's say take the knight, and take on e4. The danger being that, okay, if he goes f4, I just take it out, and as I mentioned, this diagonal here is extremely weakened. For instance, queen e2, because mate was threatened on f2. Bishop g4, g3, and queen f6, and the attack is just too strong. But okay, I intended to play knight c6, and after, let's say, I don't know, c4 might be probably best, but after queen b4, knight c3, d5, bishop takes, and d4, I thought I would get pretty strong attack, and for instance here, with rook d8 to come. And I will win back the material and still have a huge initiative in attack. But okay, bishop e2, for instance, was maybe the safer option, but yeah, I don't think it's that great. I mean, black's just much better developed, and especially this bishop here, he simply stops white's development, and yeah, black should be always better. Giving up the bishop here makes my task much easier, because after queen takes c3, here d5 would be very strong, with the same intention as mentioned some seconds before. But knight c6, okay, was not at all bad. I mean, I still have my advantage, but it's a bit easier for white to come to play. Queen d2, okay, preparing queenside castling, which is in itself an insane idea. I mean, look at all these weaknesses here. It won't be difficult to start an attack. I mean, I can just play knight d5. Let's say c6, the bishop moves, I can maybe try even to control the squares and then to break through with b5, and if he takes, even to go forward with a4. So it would be horrible. But now d5 works very powerfully, and okay, I played Uncastled, which I didn't expect, because I thought, okay, basically it's just two answers. He takes d, which gives me a strong attack. After rook e8, bishop e2, bishop comes in, and bishop f5, and I have huge compensation for my sacrificed pawn. I mean, I completed my development, and knight e5 is coming with threats such as knight e3, and it's very likely that the king won't survive this assault. But the most critical, in my opinion, was queen takes d5. Here, honestly, I would get some nice development, lead in development. The rook d8, hitting the queen, has to go. Queen f4, going for e3 with mate. Yeah, not yet mate. It seems okay. It would be mate. For instance, let's say it's once again black to move. I go with check. It would be mate. Let's go there. After this, still mate. So that's the current threat, and he has to react somehow on it. So let's say knight f to d4, I take it out, take, and play very powerfully c5. Well, he probably has to sacrifice it, because if he removes it, he goes back. I check here, check, discover attack, check, and now queen e3, and something like bishop c7 probably is just a finisher. He cannot play f4 because there's a pin, and without it the king won't survive. Let's say it's again black to move. I just check. Okay, for to sacrifice it, check. And okay, the bishop also controls this diagonal. If the knight goes there, I just check it again, check, and yeah, okay. It would be mate, so he has to sacrifice his queen. But even says there a clear way to checkmate him. I guess something like this. Goes back, and then bishop f5 with check to come, and then check. Yeah, it's. I think it's clear that this position is just winning for black. Okay, but after queens are castling, I thought, okay, it's now. I mean, I didn't lose a bit of my initiative, and I just take, and he has a weakness on e4, which is permanent. And now, especially this e3 square is a bit, let's say, a liability for him, because I always threaten to play bishop e3 then, and to skew the queen. And let's say bishop g4 to speed up my development. He makes the final mistake after queen e2, bishop e2. I go there, and in a way it's a pin, despite the queen being protected, because if he takes, which is even Rybka's suggestion, I just play bishop e3, win the queen, and the game is over. But even what he played in the game was not great. I mean, queen e1 just hangs the bishop. I just take it. He wanted to, play on and try to avoid simplifications, but well, after queen g3, I just checked him with the cross point to the queen and the king, which means if the king moves, I just first remove the queen, takes, and then the exchange. And yeah, I don't have any weaknesses, I would say. I mean, this pawn is protected by its powerful bishop. I maybe just have to watch out for this move. Might be the only annoying idea he has, but I think at knight e5, maybe knight c4 later on, it's just dominating. Okay, well, that's what I wanted to show you, how to exploit a slight lead in development and somewhat dubious structure here. I was playing d5 in the open games, which is in the open games you have to develop. It's maybe the highest priority. You have to get your pieces into play. Otherwise, you might get squeezed as a white here. And I mean, he's even rated 2000, which is not bad at all. I would say, he might be maybe 1800, maybe 1900 ELO player in real life. So it's quite decent, and even he made a fatal mistake, which cost him the game. Okay, I hope you liked this. I would recommend you to check out my channel, my daily chess, or my webpage where I publish book reviews twice a week, dailychess.org. And yeah, I hope you learned something, enjoyed the video clip, and tune in the next time. See you.